This show is powered by the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, the regional chamber of commerce, where business, innovation, and community come together to build the future for our region.
Jan, one of the most remarkable things about the Silicon Valley sports story is it didn't just begin with this World Cup announcement.
No, Chris, it started long ago, and this handsome gentleman to my left here, he was an essential part of bringing what we're going to experience here in just 50 days, under 50 days, I believe, correct?
It is, absolutely, yeah. And so with one of those leaders is Kevin Moore. Kevin, welcome. Thanks for coming to join us today.
Pleasure.
Kevin, your involvement in the 49ers, bringing them to Santa Clara, there was a lot of effort there, but I think it was one simple letter that really brought the idea to fruition. And can you share a little bit about what happened at that time? What was the impetus to get this team to come all the way from San Francisco down to Santa Clara?
Well, the 49ers were focused on San Francisco, and I basically said, let us be your backup plan. And we have the infrastructure, an 8-lane thoroughfare being Great America and all the hotels and the convention center. So we thought it was an ideal place, and eventually they came our way and agreed with us, and we got the stadium built.
That was obviously a very ambitious move to be making at the time, San Francisco being the city, the big city. Santa Clara seems to have hosted a lot right now, but what made you think that the city was right at that particular time?
Yeah, well, Candlestick, getting in and out of Candlestick, and I had great memories with Candlestick, wonderful times, but having a brand new facility was going to be necessary to get these big events. We talked about getting World Cups, and they were laughing at us. And we're talking about getting Super Bowls. Now we've hosted Super Bowl 50 and Super Bowl 60. And the World Cup is a dream come true because I remember walking door to door and people going, "You're crazy. The World Cup's never coming to Santa Clara." And it is, thanks to a lot of people's hard work.
Kevin, how did the Levi Stadium, how did it change people's perception, not just here in the Valley, but outside, internationally, certainly nationally? How did it change people's perception of the Silicon Valley?
Well, that area, when we first started talking about it, it was Great America was there. So we were on the map. We have Santa Clara University. San Francisco is still always a wonderful, beautiful, big city, and so is San Jose. We love both of those sister and brother cities of ours. But Santa Clara was on the map for Intel and high tech. Sports, Santa Clara University's done some wonderful things, but we just weren't on the level of professional sports. The Sharks there, the San Jose Earthquakes. Earthquakes played in Santa Clara for a while, and we loved hosting them at Santa Clara and then built their beautiful stadium in San Jose. But I think what it really did is made Santa Clara more of a destination spot.
One of the things you've done, Kevin, is you were very much involved in building their soccer park right next to the stadium, adjacent to Levi. It seems that you've always been involved in connecting professional sports with the youth and the community development. Why was that so important to you and the group at the beginning?
Well, you guys are both great athletes. I'm not. And
thank you, by the way.
You guys are.
You're a fantastic athlete.
But what it is it's these kids getting a chance to be able to play there. And when you drive by and you see the kids at the soccer park, playing on really good fields, because what we had some fields that were, and we've all played on them, were not so good. And so to get that going on there and just creating, we got the San Tomas Aquino Creek Trail. It just brought some activities and was able, with the infrastructure, to have a place where people can get on their bike, drive up a creek trail, and then an 8-lane thoroughfare. There aren't too many 8-lane thoroughfares in the Bay Area, so transportation in and out, the light rail there, the train, but mostly, so the kids can go and enjoy this. The moments, as Jan and I have talked before, the biggest event in town when we were kids was Santa Clara University would play the San Francisco Giants every year in a scrimmage game. Now at Santa Clara University, we're bringing it back and having a soccer match every year with the women's soccer team. I think it might be Stanford this year or North Carolina, but the kids, to have a moment where they can just go and see the best playing and enjoy it, it gives them a chance to visualize what they can do.
Does that go both ways? I mean, obviously you've got the World Cup, and it's such a the community comes together, but also all the different countries are involved in that tournament, and you're getting these massive games at Levi Stadium. Has that translated over to fans for the 49ers as well? Because I'm seeing obviously games in Australia coming up, games coming up in Mexico City all the time for NFL. Has the World Cup helped the Niners in that respect, or Levi Stadium?
I believe so. I had a soccer fan who said she would never be a football fan, and she wanted to take her nephew. And I took her nephew and her to see the Green Bay Packers. And within 5 minutes, she was screaming and yelling, and oh my God, I can't believe I don't love football, but she still loves soccer. That's her favorite sport. So, yeah, I think it does. I think it translates. You know, some people are just one sport, but I think when you can enjoy all of them, it's better.
No, that's great, and I appreciate the desire to create better environments for our youth to be able to play. And not to put a plug for myself, but that was the underlying premise, the main underlying premise when I started off the wall soccer many umpteen years ago. Thinking about now the World Cup, right? We've got the World Cup coming to Levi Stadium. What do you think is going to happen after? What's the next step? We're going to have some great events. How is that going to change the environment for those short few weeks? And then where's it going to go after this? What do you see?
The World Cup's so big, I think we're going to get other tournaments, and you guys are going to know the names of those tournaments better than I do. You know, but we'll get the World Cup, which is the granddaddy. But I think what it does is, the World Cup played there. We want to have our tournament there. We want to have our concert there. We want to have our special event. We've also hosted the national championship game when Clemson beat Alabama, and I think what it does is when the World Cup comes in, how does it get any bigger than that? I mean, AC/DC's great, but the World Cup,
hard to top, right?
Yeah.
The World Cup,
I think they're my age.
Yeah. They might be at the World Cup. They may be in Santa Clara for the game. Who knows if they can get off?
Maybe they can get you up there, Chris, and you can belt out some tunes.
I'll
for
get
them.
my school uniform on. Yeah. There are tournaments already. I mean, Gold Cup is one, right? But then also the Earthquakes play at least one game in the area already, and normally it's against LAFC or the Galaxy. Maybe is at Stanford, but you got those games coming up, and so the more exposure people get to an event that Levi can put on in that way, I think it's going to continue the growth of the game, but also, as your heart obviously attests to the youth development as well. It's just being able to continue to give back to the community.
You're absolutely right. I got to tell you, one of my most favorite games was the Earthquakes were playing at Santa Clara, and it was one of the first big events that was there. And I got a phone call from the Earthquakes, and one of the persons says, "So you're going to be at the game?" I said, "No, I'm not." They go, "I was walking the field today. You better be over here." And so I canceled what I had and went, and it was wonderful. The Earthquakes, growing up seeing the Earthquakes all the way back from Paul Child and Archie Ruvelstoff and all the other ones, that Terry Fisher involved, of course. But seeing the Earthquakes playing in that stadium and people just enjoying it was wonderful.
Loved it. I remember 1974, age 10. I go out to the very first game, and my family, we had season tickets all the way to the end of the NASL experience, and certainly watching Chris
absolutely
as what I like to refer to as the gentleman of the game.
Yes.
He'd come out and wave his hand and big smile and the long mullet. I had a mullet, by the way. It was
It wasn't as good as mine.
No, it was better.
It
was fashioned after my favorite player, Kevin Keegan, next to you, of course, at the time. But no, really enjoyed that. And you had a lovely wife, and I thought, this is a professional. This is a guy that has everything going for him. He's got charm. He's got good looks. At least that's his opinion, as well as everyone else's. And he definitely had just this sense of being in professionalism. I love being in his presence. Love watching you play. Later, I became an usher. At age 16 with the Scouts.
I think he's held up better than a lot of the athletes. He keeps saying he's old, but doesn't look old to me. And I remember him playing.
He's a gentleman.
Class act.
One thing I want to mention, Kevin, and you may appreciate this, is that I recently did a documentary for ATN, and it was basically when soccer came to America. And it talked about how the game was grown from the North American Soccer League days. And I'm a big believer that the work that was put in by that league has really put us in a moment where we have now seen the rewards from that. That platform that was built by the Cosmos, obviously, but other teams like the Earthquakes and the Aztecs and everybody else, with Terry Fisher was down there with the Aztecs. They've set the platform and the growth of the game at the youth level. And now that allowed us not only for the '94 World Cup, but now for America to be on the world stage again for the 2026 World Cup. And so, you know, it goes back to your youth connections. You know what I mean? The way that we've been able to grow the game and build a platform for the game.
Well, absolutely. I went to Catholic school, and the nuns, we had books that we had to read. And then finally they gave us a choice to read a book. And so I went in the library, and I found a book called Pele. And I had heard about him, but after I read the book and what he had gone through, and then next thing you know, he's at the New York Cosmos, and soccer was just, you know, just grew up in the area, you know, and it was a sport if you weren't great in other sports like football and basketball, try soccer. And, you know, I was really, you know, exactly, you know, seeing somebody like Pele and what the NASL, I had one of those old balls there that they had, we kick around, but yeah. And those were great days. I got to tell you, you know, I still enjoy going to the games, but those were great days back in there, you know.
Yeah, fantastic memories, and thank you for your persistence in really, and I know how persistent you can be, and I mean that with all the love, but your leadership has really created a wonderful experience. And now thinking back, perhaps after the tournament, you're going to sit back in your chair and you're going to say, hey, that World Cup possibly was because of me.
Well, you know, you've been wonderful. You've kept me going here at the chamber. You've always been solid. You return a phone call. You're always on. You're always on time, even when you're late. But you know, you've been great. And so today's been just a treat, especially to be with some legends here today.
And what's your next step? What's your next step after this?
Hopefully we get some other events. Maybe, you know, definitely going to go see AC/DC, right? For those about to rock, we salute you, right?
So Bruno Mars
be rude not to.
I think Bruno's coming too.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, it's. I saw
Want to
Elton.
go to Bruno Mars?
Yeah,
Yeah, where do we sit?
I saw Sir Elton there as well, and it's to have those events in Santa Clara, but now a World Cup. I mean, how do you top it? You know.
This is true.
Isn't
This
it
is
funny
true.
the way things connect in that way? You just mentioned Sir Elton John, and we're going to talk to Terry Fisher in a while. And Terry Fisher was the original coach of the Aztecs in 1974 in Los Angeles, and Sir Elton John was the owner.
Yeah, that's right.
No
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
The team,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry's
TNT, right?
Well, it comes
that
back to
show.
weird, man.
Yeah.
It does come back
Interesting.
around, you know, but what's nice is to see soccer be on this stage and for Silicon Valley to be in the center of it. And for some of us older guys, it's nice to see it come from humble beginnings.
Well, thank you for your time, Kevin. Really appreciate it. And it really is remarkable how your vision started locally and now it's obviously on that global stage. And hopefully the World Cup will be a massive success, not only for the players that are involved and the coaches involved, but also for the local businesses here in Santa Clara.
Absolutely. Thank you both. I really appreciate you interviewing me today. You guys both are legends in soccer and look forward to learning more about the game from both of you two as well.
All right, brother. Well, we love you, and we really appreciate your presence, everything that you've done for the community. On behalf of Chris Dangerfield, the gentleman of the game, myself, Jan-Erik Nordmo, co-chair, wishing you continued connection through the community, commerce, and competition as we build toward the FIFA World Cup 2026. Have a good day.
And we'll see you next time on The Game on Silicon Valley.